Yo, 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 yo. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Culture. This is episode 155. As you can see, I'm your boy Jeff. I am not here with my main man, Ant, but we got another special guest today filling in. He is a longtime listener and supporter of The Culture. He is Lindsey of Revolt Records. Thank you for joining me today, man.
What's going on, buddy?
Introduce yourself to the folks, bro.
My name's Lindsey, one of the co-owners and founders of Revolt Records, little independent record label based out of Rhode Island. We got artists and acts from the UK, Mississippi, Rhode Island. We've worked with some people down in Maryland, North Carolina, just kind of doing that, making as much music as we can with some of the most talented artists we can find.
As he casually handles his drug paraphernalia.
It was a rough
Yo, that's
night. I'm
what's
still
up, man.
recovering.
Oh shit! All right, man. Let's get right into it, man. Because as you've known, if you've been hearing the last few episodes, I try to get right into it. I try not to make long episodes anymore because I've learned that this generation's attention span is fucking minuscule as fuck. So I try to keep
Facts.
episodes no more than 30 minutes. So
All right.
let's get right into some of these topics. I got a lot of things going on today. I want to discuss. Met the man, something he said. I do have a new ghetto word of the week.
All right.
but first,
Is that racist?
now we're not doing this at races. We're doing ghetto word today.
All right. Bet.
But I want to discuss, and I'll put it up on the screen. Apple Music recently released their top 100 best albums of all time. Correct?
Yeah, they did.
And all right, I'm not before we get into it. I'm not gonna pretend that Apple Music is the end all be all. You know what I mean? And music authority, but they are a respected conglomerate, right?
Yeah, it was better than
And
Rolling Stone.
right, and they put out the 100 albums, not hip hop albums, albums in general of all
All
time.
genres. Yep.
And they put Miss Lauryn Hill, the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, as their number one. And here we have a picture of her and Ebro from Hot 97 as they're giving her telling her the news that her album was chosen number one. And of course, you see the backlash. And Ant knows this. You probably know this from hearing the show. Like, you know how I feel about Lauryn Hill.
I know.
I have Miseducation in my top 5 of
Hip hop albums.
hip hop albums of all time. Hip
Mm-hmm.
hop, and she's not even number one. She's in my top 5, but she's not even number one in that genre. So it's safe to say that I wouldn't even put her number one of all time in any genre.
I agree.
And we'll get into the criterias. We're gonna get into the criteria soon, but they had Thriller at number 2. Let's look up the whole list here. I'm not gonna go through the whole 100, but we could do at least the top 10. We could dissect the top 10 at least. This is the list. They had Beyonce at 10. They had Nirvana at 9. They had Amy Winehouse, rest in peace, at 8. Kendrick Lamar, Good Kid, Mad City at 7. Stevie Wonder at 6. Frank Ocean, 5. Prince, Purple Rain, 4. The Beatles, 3. Michael Jackson, Thriller, which would be my all-time number one of any genre. They have him at 2 and Lauryn Hill at number 1. So give me your take on this shit, man. The people are losing their shit online. And I tell people, like, look, man, these lists don't mean anything. If you've gone on my YouTube page, I got all types of lists, and a lot of people are like, oh, what the fuck is this? It gets people talking, right? That's what these lists are. People love lists, top 10 lists. People love them. I love lists. I always do lists on anything. Top 5 rappers, top this, top players, whatever. It's just a conversation starter. They don't mean shit. This is not the definitive list of anything. They just got a bunch of people in a room. They all had their opinion. They all followed whatever criteria they wanted to follow. And this is what they came up with. And it gets people talking. And for weeks, people were talking about this fucking shit. And,
It
point
feels
taken.
like they made the list based off of, what was the biggest album. Maybe not what was necessarily the best album. A lot of those albums in there were fucking huge in
Yeah, but
their
I wouldn't.
time.
Yeah, but I wouldn't even say that Miseducation was bigger than any of those other albums either.
Uh, I don't know if I go that far, but Miseducation was fucking huge. Blonde was fucking huge. Abbey Road was fucking huge. Like, in my opinion, there's only maybe two or three albums in that list that belong there in terms of quality. Everything else just feels like this was like one of the biggest moments of its time, of its era, and so they put it up there for that. But fucking Lemonade, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Blonde, absolutely not. Abbey Road, absolutely fucking
Amy
not.
Winehouse.
Amy Winehouse, absolutely not. Like, if you're not putting anything from Pink Floyd, anything from Zeppelin over Amy Winehouse, is just fucking ridiculous. The Cure, Disintegration, being, if I'm not mistaken, it was like number 27 and number 28. Like, that's one of the most perfect albums ever made, in my opinion, in terms of not even genre, just across the board. That is an absolute perfect fucking album. Fucking Miles Davis,
Yeah.
Kind of Blue. Well, again, one of the most perfect albums in my opinion that's ever been made. Didn't even crack the fucking top 10. Like, it just seems they're going for what was big, what was the most popular, what maybe had a lot of influence moving forward. But I mean, dude, Frank
And
Ocean
and
being above Stevie? Are you out of your mind?
and I love the Miseducation. A lot of people don't even consider it a hip hop album. They think it's an R&B album. It has a lot of singing, but it does have a lot of rapping. So to me, it's a hip hop album. I
It's
have
a
it maybe,
blend.
I have it maybe number 2 or 3 in my top 5 list of hip hop albums. As far as of all time albums, yo, fucking Thriller. That's like the only album I've ever seen that has like every song is a single. Like
Mm-hmm.
every song is like a number one hit single on the entire album. Like what other
Mm-hmm.
albums can you say that shit about?
Yeah, but also beyond that, I mean, Thriller is filled with quality music from start
Oh
to
fuck yeah.
finish. I mean, they got huge because of how good the songs were, not because of, oh, marketing, promotion, how we pushed it, how we did this stupid little fucking marketing technique. Like, Thriller is based off of the quality of its fucking content. Like, hands down. Just because everything kind of went huge doesn't really change anything because the quality of that album, start to finish, is fucking impeccable. So I got no
Well,
problem with that. It's just some of these other ones. Like, you have no business putting Blonde above Songs in the Key of Life. Again, one of the most perfect albums ever made by an artist in the past 40, 50 years.
so what was the criteria you asked? I pulled it up.
Oh shit. All right.
And the voters, I don't know how many of them were they, but they were challenged not to vote for their favorites, but this is the criteria. Albums that represented a cultural moment for the artist or genre, albums that were complete thoughts, not just collections of hit songs, albums that thoroughly represent culture in production and lyrics, albums that inspired a generation to want to create more music, albums that represent the best in storytelling, musicianship, recording, and production, and finally, albums that are timeless and reached far beyond the genre categorization. Those were supposedly the criteria.
It doesn't seem like quality is up on that list. It does seem like it's just basically influence, what was big, what was popular, what had the most amount of buzz, and what continued to have buzz even, decades later. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying, if we're going for best albums of all time, we got to bring quality into it. You have to bring in the album as a whole. You have to bring in what's the album trying to say? How do the songs convey the message that the album and the overall theme is trying to, convey and get across? And I mean, there's so many albums out there that do that at such a high level that they, in my opinion, belong on this list over some of these other albums. Like, I just can't believe Beyonce's Lemonade is in the top 10 albums ever made. I
Do you,
wouldn't have
this is
put that in the top 100.
this is a dumb conspiracy, but do you think Lauren paid them to do this? Because right after she announced that she's making a new album that should be dropping this year. Now I don't think she would have more money. I don't think she has more money than anybody on this list.
Mm.
Because if Beyonce wanted to pay Apple Music to put her number one, she has the resources to do that shit.
I mean, I'm sure people are paying to get their stuff up higher, but I mean, that really, uh, unless you're
And
doing like an Apple exclusive, what the fuck does it matter?
right, and
It's
maybe she
gonna,
is. Maybe she is though.
that hasn't happened in a while. Like, I can't think of the last. big artist who was like, okay, I'm only gonna put
Wasn't it?
this out.
Wasn't it Black Star? Didn't they do some shit like that? Or
Yeah,
was that a
they
top?
went on. They didn't even go on DSPs. They went on their own little like
Oh, that's right. They had
streaming
their own
platform.
platform.
Yeah, and you could grab it like that. But nothing's gonna be exclusive to just Spotify or just Apple Music. So I don't know. Maybe she paid, maybe she didn't. Regardless, I don't think it fucking belongs there.
All right, and I don't want to make this out to be like, oh, we're bashing Lauren because everybody knows I love
No,
Lauren.
I love
You
that
know,
fucking album, man.
yeah.
Love it.
But does it deserve to be even on the top 10 of this list?
With some of the other albums that exist out there in the ether over the past, what are we
Because
at?
Rolling Stones had their top 100, and I don't even think Miseducation was in the top 10.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad if it's in the top 10. I'm not mad if it's out of the top 10. I just don't think it's number one.
All
Like,
right,
I
I
just
agree.
don't. There's just so many other great bands and great artists over the years that deserve recognition for the art that they created over somebody who's like Beyonce. Like, oh, this is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, female artist in the world. And this album was fucking everywhere when it came out. That's great. And the album's good. I'm not shitting on Lemonade. You know, for what it is, it's a good fucking album. It's just, man, there's so much out there. Like, how are you gonna put that over Miles Davis? How are you gonna put that over The Cure? How are you gonna put that over Led Zeppelin? How are you gonna put that
I was
over
surprised I ain't see like some rock albums in there. You know what I'm saying? I ain't
mm,
see no, like you said, Led Zeppelin or
some of those
somebody like those.
classic rock? Even Nirvana. Like I love
Nirvana.
Nevermind.
Well, Nirvana was on there.
Yeah, Nevermind is a great album. Is it one of the greatest top 10 albums ever created? I don't think so. And Kurt Cobain's
I like their other album better. What's the one with the naked baby on the cover?
I like Bleach and I like In Utero. Like they're but
What's the one with the baby? With the naked baby in the pool. You know what I'm talking about?
that's Nevermind.
Oh, all right.
That
So that one
that's
made
the
it. All
one
right.
on the
Yeah. So
list.
that's all right. Cool. Cool. And that was
Yeah.
the name of the album. I didn't even know that was the name of that shit. All right.
Yeah, that was Nevermind. It's a great album. It
Yeah.
really is. It's not my favorite. I get, we're not going for favorites on this. We're going for like start to finish, well, what I would do, quality of the album, start to finish, content, message, like all of that. I agree. Like Nevermind is up there for Nirvana. It's just, I think Nirvana has better albums than Nevermind.
All right.
Plus, you didn't get any Pearl Jam 10, not on there. I didn't see that up there. Alice in Chains Dirt. Like, if you're going to go from, so, you know, some of those classic grunge era albums, I mean, if Nirvana Nevermind is up there, some of these other ones belong too. Like, in my opinion, 10 from Pearl Jam is a better album than Nirvana Nevermind. That might be a hot take. I don't know, but it's just how I look at it.
I'm sure some people on Twitter might have some shit to say about that shit.
We'll find out.
Shout out to the barbershop, yo. All right, man. Let's get into this ghetto
Ghetto
word
word
of the
of the
week.
week.
What do we got?
Yeah, I wish Ant was here for this. Have you ever heard of the term jigaboo?
Mm-hmm.
Not to be confused with like jugaboo. Because right, didn't like Beyonce have a song where you're a jugaboo, the jugaboo, jugaboo. This is not that. This is jigaboo. Are
Mm-hmm.
you a white racist motherfucker? Why you laughing at this? So you know what
I just
jigaboo is?
I know what Jigaboo is.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that this was a derogatory term until I looked it up on Urban Dictionary.
This is new to you.
This word is new to me. As far as being a fucking derogatory term.
Okay.
According to Urban Dictionary, it is a black or African American person. Who the
Mm.
fuck knew? I've never heard somebody refer to nobody as no fucking yo, you fucking jigaboo. I mean, I never heard that shit. And
Oh.
the sentence that they used was, yo, the other night I went to Harlem and saw jigaboos. God damn, that sounds racist as fuck. Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe we're having "is that racist" for
Is
a
the
racial slur,
racist?
derogatory
No,
term that's been.
this is this is a ghetto word of the week, but
Oh, my bad. That's
I
right.
guess it could turn into an is that racist moment.
I don't think we need to question that. It's definitely racist. It's always
Fuck.
been racist.
Damn, so I shouldn't even use the word jigaboo.
I would not personally.
Is it as bad as the N word?
I don't. I don't know if anything in terms of derogatory terms for black people is as bad as the N word, but I mean that's fucking up there. That's a
Oh, all right.
fucked up word to
I'm
say.
getting away, I'm getting out of this one. I'm moving on because all right.
I'm curious where it comes from because everything has a base. Everything has like a
Mm,
starting point. Like where the fuck does that come from?
does it come from gigolo?
I
And
don't know.
then I mean, how can you turn the word gigolo into something racist?
I don't know. We're gonna have to look up that word's what is it? Etymology? What's the word I'm
Yes.
looking for? We got to
Let's look
look
it
that
up.
up.
All right, let me move on, man. So Hot 97 recently had their yearly Summer Jam concert, right?
Mm.
Method Man and Redman performed like they always do.
Yup.
Like they always start the shit off high intensity, right?
Yes, sir.
Jumping off the stage, doing all types of wild shit. I posted up the Double XL magazine cover there where Method Man says he's not coming back to perform at Summer Jam. His direct quote was, "Never again. At this point, the generation gap is just too wide for me." And I wanted to have this conversation because that's where I feel like there's a fucking problem. And look at the lineup. Okay? Look at the fucking lineup that they have. Doja Cat, fucking Offset, who decided to come outside. Sexy Red, who's now involved in like WWE and shit. She doesn't know what she wants to do. Method Man and Redman, Sleepy Hollow, DeVito, T Grizzly, 41. So who stands out? Who doesn't belong on this list?
Yeah, it's like one of these things is not like the others.
Who is not like Method Man and Redman, right? So that's
No.
the lineup. Let me pull up his direct his direct quote. Look at his direct quote right here. Hold on, I got it. He goes, "It's not our crowd at all. Thanks again, New York and the whole tri-state area showed up for the event. Plus Pete and Ebro. I got love for you guys," referring to Peter Rosenberg and Ebro from Hot 97. "But never again. At this point, the generation gap is just too wide for me." I can imagine that the fans, probably half of these motherfucking kids, didn't even know who these guys were, right?
No, probably
You know,
just a name only. If you tried to, name five Method Man songs, name five Redman
they
songs.
couldn't name one. They
Mm.
probably know Method Man from Power if they even watch that, and they don't know Redman at all.
Yeah, it's a
And
shame.
and if they starting off the show, people probably just arriving. They probably ain't know what was going on. Nobody was probably cheering. Like I went to the Hip Hop 50 at Yankee Stadium last year to celebrate 50 years of hip hop, and Method Man came out and everybody went fucking bonkers, right? Obviously
Mm-hmm.
the girls went bonkers. You know what I'm saying? He comes out in a tank top or he takes his shirt off or whatever, and everybody's going crazy. But Method Man, because there was realistically 50 years of hip hop, the majority of the people in there were over 30, 30 and
Correct.
up, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I also saw it in both ways. Like because when Nas came out for the Hip Hop 50, and he started doing songs from his last couple albums, including a song that he did with Lauryn Hill, which I love, and I was singing the lyrics to the shit. I looked around and nobody even knew the fucking song. They didn't even
Mm-hmm.
know that was Lauryn when she came out. I had dudes asking me, "Who's that?" I'm like, "That's Lauryn Hill, bro." And I'm singing the lyrics, and I was the only one in the whole Yankee Stadium. It's 40, 50,000 people there. I was the only one that knew the song because that's from Nas's like latest album, right?
Mm-hmm.
The people are
Oh, you're
there,
talking about the
40,
one where
50.
she spit.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
She had a hot ass verse on that shit.
She did. She
So
did.
that's how Nas brought her out. He brought her out to that song that they did. Nobody knew the fucking song but me. And then she had to tell the DJ, like, "Yo, let's cut this shit." And then they played the shit that everybody knows. The If
Yeah, they
I
went
Rule
to
the
Rule the
World.
World. Yep,
They
I
went
remember
to
that.
that, and that shit bothered me. I was like, damn, so these motherfuckers, these old heads only know the old shit. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? They don't know the new shit. But then if you go to a young concert with, the Summer Jam, those young motherfuckers only know the new shit, and they don't know the Method Man and Redman shit.
There's
So
some
I
kind of.
saw it both ways, and I was like, I don't know how we could fix that. I don't know where, you know what I mean, the disconnect is between the cultures, between generations. Because, all right, even when we grew up, we wasn't listening to like fucking Marley Marl or Grandmaster Flash. But there was a lot of influences though. Even the guys that we grew up listening or that I grew up listening to in the late 80s, early 90s were
Mm.
taking shit from those guys from the 70s and 80s. You know what I mean? They were taking shit from KRS, from Rakim, from, the Beastie Boys, from, you know what I mean? They were taking beats from them. They were borrowing lyrics and verses and little things like that. And it's not like we ain't know who these guys were because our guys were mentioning them in songs and shit like that. But it's like these new kids are like oblivious to anything that happened before them, and that's one of the shit that fucking bothers me about this generation, bro.
What
For
I
Method
did,
Man to say like, "Yo, I don't even want Hot 97's money. Don't even invite me back." That's telling, because I
hmm
don't want to be performing in front of a crowd that don't even know who I am or what my music is, type shit.
yeah. I mean, at least I think there's some kind of generational gap going on because I mean, maybe you, like you just said, weren't like this, but like when I was coming up, like I don't know, like 1991, give or take, is when I got started really getting into hip hop. I was like 9 years old,
Right.
and by the time I'm like 14, 15 years old, um, you start to hear all these references. And eventually you start going back because you want to see, at least I did, what came before. So I started listening to the old, well, at least at that time, like older Public Enemy, older NWA, some Easy E, because obviously he was still going 91, 92, but just going back and listening. Third Base, Beasties, Run DMC, everything that Def Jam was doing at the beginning. Um, what's funny, what's really funny about this is, do you remember the album In the Beginning There Was Rap?
Yes.
Okay, this is almost what started it because that album came out and I listened to that album and it made me want to go back and hear the original versions of the songs because it's just newer artists covering and redoing songs from like that previous generation of like the
But that
80s
was like
guys.
a compilation album though.
It was. So it's a
Yeah.
whole bunch of new artists doing older artists from the
That was like our
80s
version of
songs.
Wow. Remember them CDs? Wow. That's what you call music or whatever. And they would have like 20 random tracks of all types of genres and shit.
Yep. And through that, it was like I wanted to go back and really delve into the catalogs of these artists because I
Right.
knew everything and was listening to everything that was new at the time. But especially back then, man, like we didn't have fucking streaming. We didn't have,
We didn't have
you want to
internet.
listen
We didn't
to a
have shit.
song, push a button. There was, oh shit, okay, this used CD is $8. And in
Right.
order for me to get that $8, I'm going to have to mow like two lawns. I'm going to have to go try and find some neighbors in the yard who need some stuff done, like around the neighborhood. I'm going to have to try and find a way to get that $8 so I can get down to the used CD store and buy that one album. And that's it. It's fucking hit or
But
miss.
also,
You
I
get
don't
that
know.
album and it sucks and
Right.
you're fucked. But it wasn't as easy to get all of these albums. So unless you had an older brother, an older cousin, an uncle, or somebody who had like that either tape or CD collection already established, dude, it was a grind to try and listen to that music that came before us because it's fucking expensive. Even back then, $8, I know it wasn't a lot, doesn't sound like a lot, but $8 back then was a lot of money. So what you
Well, to
had
a
to go
10-year-old kid,
through,
hell yeah.
yeah, and I mean, even at fucking 15, trying to get $10 so I can go buy one used CD to see, oh, is this even good? Do I even like this? And
Sometimes
you
we would
have
buy
to
the shit just to listen to the one song we liked, and then they even listen to the other shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. And so it was almost like there was a barrier for us for how much you could actually listen to because you only had so much money at your disposal. You wanted to be buying some of the new CDs that came out, but you also wanted to hear some of that music that came before you. So again,
And
you were
that's what I'm
shit out
getting
of
at.
luck if you didn't have one of those older individuals in your life.
That's where I'm getting at, which I think that's part of the disconnect between our generation and today's generation. When we found out that something was influenced from something from the past, I was curious to go check that out.
Facts.
Like when Snoop Dogg in his first album, Doggy Style, he does that song, the Lottie
Lottie
Dottie.
Dottie.
I had no idea who Slick Rick was, right?
Facts.
Years later, I find out, oh shit, he's took that from Slick Rick. He's paying homage to Slick Rick. So let me go listen
Mm-hmm.
to the original one. And now, obviously, we have internet, and now I can search shit. Back
Mm-hmm.
then, we ain't have that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you had to
Today's
buy the
kids,
whole CD.
you tell them, Offset made a whole song, but his version is from like KRS-One from 1988. They don't give a fuck. They're like, oh, we
Nope.
don't give a fuck. Who's KRS-One? We don't care. You know what I mean? If Drake comes out with something that's inspired from some shit from the 90s, they don't give a fuck. Yo, I'm running around and I'm listening on the radio in my car, and I hear that Busta Rhyme beat on at least 3 different songs. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, yeah. You know what I'm talking about? Whatever the fuck. If you really want to party with me. So they using that beat. They got, what's the one song? Because girls is players too. They got it on that. What's that bitch's name? Ice Spice?
I don't know how to listen to that shit.
They got the beat on that song. They have the same beat on a reggae song, like a Jamaican reggae song. So you'll hear the beat on like 3 or 4 different songs, like in an hour on the radio, on the local, hip hop stations. And I bet you the majority of these fucking kids listening have no idea where that shit came from. They don't know that's a Busta Rhymes fucking song. Ice Spice even has a remix to her song with Busta on it, paying homage, you know what I'm saying? Which I appreciate. Like, all right, this is where I got it from. But like, I'm on Twitter all day and I'm talking to these 20-year-olds and they're like, yeah, Drake is the best ever, or yeah, 21 Savage, or whoever the fuck. And they have no idea what the fuck came before them, and they don't care. That's the thing. Not only do they not know what came before them, they just don't even give a fuck because it doesn't exist. They came before them, so it doesn't exist.
Like,
And that's my biggest gripe.
If we had this technology, if we had this availability of music at the tips of our fingers when we were coming up, we would have been able to hear whatever the fuck we wanted, because we wouldn't have had to save up to buy a used CD, and we would have been able to just listen to anything whenever we wanted to. But we didn't have that. So we had blind spots, because you can't buy everything. You didn't know somebody who had everything. Not everybody has like a Jimmy Green in their life where the dude just has every piece of music that's been released in the past 40 years. You
Shout
know
out to
what I
Jimmy
mean?
Green, yo, dope ass beats, bro.
For real. But we didn't have that. If we had Apple Music, Spotify, whatever, any of these DSPs, we could have just pushed a button and listened to any song, any album, any artist that we wanted to.
But
We
that's
could
what
have
makes it
gone
worse.
through
They have no excuse.
none. Like,
They
we
have
could have gone
everything at the
through.
palm of their hands, bro. They have everything, all the information they need.
They could listen to an entire artist's discography, like, in a day. You know what I mean? And it wouldn't cost them anything. It would cost them the $10 a month that the Spotify or Apple Music subscription is. That $10, that bought us one CD. If we were
Yeah.
lucky, we could find a used CD for $5, so $10 would get us 2. But you're talking about listening to 2 albums from whatever, genre, whatever era we wanted, and these kids can listen to all of it, and it costs them $10. It's just the barrier to the access of the music is so much easier now, and yet the desire to go back isn't there. We had that desire to go back and listen to what came before us, but we just didn't have the ability to listen to whatever whenever we wanted. Like, yeah, you can go into the CD store, and if you were lucky, they still had one of those CD listening stations, so you could
Yeah.
listen to something before
I
you
used to
bought it.
go. I used to go to fucking Barnes and Noble and go right to the back because they had the listening stations.
Yep.
And I would just sit there for hours, but just listen. They would let you listen to clips. You can't listen to the whole song. You can listen to like
Nope.
whatever, 30 seconds or a minute.
Yep.
And I would sit there and just listen to the songs and shit.
And it would give you an idea of, okay, maybe this album isn't as good as I thought it was going to be, but this album is as good, and this seems like it's good. But you still only had $10, and you still only were able to buy one CD. So it's like, it was more difficult. And
What I would do is, you get one of your boys, like, yo, let's split this shit. So you put 5, I put 5, and then we share it.
And then we burn it. See, that's what I did.
Well,
Come like
right.
10th
After
grade.
when that became available, yeah. But before that, we
Yeah.
used to just share it. Like, yo, I'm gonna hold it for a week, and then you take it home. You know what I mean? Then you take it home for a week, and me and my boys would do shit like that.
I fucking stole so many CDs from my older cousin because he had he had more money than me. Like, he had
Shout out to him.
parents for buying them CDs and shit, and so he had way more music than I did, especially in hip hop. So rather, before burners came out, I'm just like sliding something out of that 100 CD booklet. I'm sliding it out of his, and I'm sliding it into mine. Shout out Maya. I took so many fucking CDs over the years.
But before we end this shit, I mean, it basically just comes down to entitlement and just respect or lack thereof. You know what I mean? Because if I tell one of these new motherfuckers, yo, let me tell you my top five. My top five is Nas, Jay Z. Oh, those fucking guys are washed. Those old guys are washed. That's what they're gonna tell me, right? They're
Mm.
gonna tell me that Drake is on their list, maybe Kendrick, whoever the fuck, Little Uzi, this and that, whoever. And I'm be like, all right, fine, that's just trash to us. But if we heard when we were their age, if we heard an old head tell us, their top five was Rakim, Slick Rick, we wasn't gonna be like, oh, that's trash, that's wash. We was gonna be like, all right, we was gonna respect it. You know what I mean?
And we're gonna go do the fucking knowledge. We're gonna try and grab at least one Rakim CD. We're gonna try and grab like an EPM CD. We want to see what everybody's talking about. Like,
Right,
if we respected the opinions of the people
right.
who
Even if it
lived
wasn't
through the
our
shit.
own,
Mm-hmm.
like I would have old coworkers that were older than me, and they would tell me that their top five was Rakim, KRS-One, Slick Rick, Big Daddy Kane. You know what I mean? And like
Mm-hmm.
Flash, right? And I'm like, oh,
Yep.
okay, cool. That would make me go home and go try to find them so I could see what's up.
Yeah, because they lived through this shit. Like they
And
know
by
in
doing
real
that,
time.
that made me actually appreciate a KRS-One. I got
Mm-hmm.
him on my list now. He's on, you go on my title, and I got a bunch of his songs on my playlist now. You know what I mean? A Rakim, a fucking Big Daddy Kane, because they
Yeah,
inspired my guys. They inspired Nas. They
for
inspired
sure.
Big Pun. You listen to Nas, you listen to Big Pun, you're listening to fucking Coogee Rap and Big Daddy Kane.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But
Absolutely.
but now these young kids are like, fuck Nas, fuck lyrics. What the fuck is lyrics? We're listening to vibes, bro. We're looking for vibes and shit. We don't give a fuck
Vibes
about
and,
lyrics
and production.
and pill popping and whatever. All right, cool.
Yeah. It wasn't, it's just, it's not the same. I wish we could have had the access that this generation has to music because, oh my God, we would have been listening to absolutely fucking everything that we could. They don't have that fucking barrier of, look, you can buy two CDs this week and that's it. So you better make it fucking count. Like, it's
When I
just, it
tell
was,
I get clowned by the old heads when I tell you notice because I've told you I like fucking Corday, right?
I like
Formerly
Corday as
YBN.
well.
He's in his 20s, and I respect him because he's lyrical and he collaborates with the old head. He got songs with Eminem, Lil Wayne, fucking Nas. You know what I mean? Like he pays
Mm-hmm.
respect to the ones that came before him, and he doesn't fucking insult the fucking culture or the genre.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
he's like in one of those. He's like in the middle. Like the old heads are like, fuck him, and then the young heads are like, he's too lyrical for us. So I feel bad. He's like in the middle. You know what I mean?
Mm. Like my top five changed over the years. Like when I was, a teenager all through high school, maybe even probably through high school, it was current artists that were all my favorites and who I
Mm.
thought were all the best. But once I started going back and once I was really able to listen to Rakim's albums, listen to Big Daddy Kane's albums, listen to Cool G Rap's albums, like I was like, holy shit! Like my top five, top 10, whatever, it changed drastically once I went back and started listening to all this music that came
Yep.
before me. And like, don't get me wrong, Big and Pac still my one and two, and they were then, and they're still now. But it was the other guys. It was Cool G Rap. It was Rakim. It was guys like that who KRS who started to creep into my list, and I'm like, holy shit! Now I see where this guy got this from, and
Right.
now I see why. Like you can track like the deliveries pre Rakim and post Rakim. You know what I mean? So you can see Rakim is like a catalyst for a major shift in hip hop. And once you actually go back and listen to what was before, then listen to Rakim, then you
Mm.
listen to what came after, now you can see his influence and how severe it was on the way people were rapping. And the more you listen, you're like, holy shit, I'm giving this guy credit for this. And Rakim is the one who started it. That like multi-syllabic, whatever, where every syllable is rhyming with the corresponding syllable on the next line.
Right.
Like, da, 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 not beyond, that's just the rhyme scheme. I'm talking about beyond the delivery, because Rakim completely switched the delivery. It went from like Dr. Seuss to, holy shit, I didn't know people could
Fucking
fucking
William
rap like this.
Shakespeare or some shit.
And so, like, his influences on lyricism, it's on delivery, it's on rhyme schemes, and like guys like Eminem, like you see where the fuck this came from. And it's like, all right, like, how am I going to hold M in such high esteem when this is the man who created it? This is the man who evolved it. This is the man who made it what it was and made it possible for M to even spit like that. For Meth, or I wouldn't say Redman probably spits a lot like Rakim. Um,
He happens to be
and
Eminem's favorite.
so you can see like where it comes from, and it's just like, holy shit,
By the
man.
way, this is a topic for another episode. But that new Eminem, I'm not fucking with that new Eminem song, bro. I'm sorry.
No, I agree. Like it's, however, I can also say I was never a big fan of those lead singles from any of the Slim Shady albums.
Yeah, you're
Like
right.
they were all
They were
catchy,
gimmicky, but they served
silly.
their purpose though. They served their
They were
purpose. They
they
got
were
people hooked in.
hokey. They're
Yeah,
hokey as fuck. Like, however, it was the formula that was always used. It
and
was
it
the
worked.
formula that worked.
Right, I get it.
And if he's bringing back Slim Shady, then you bring
Right.
back that formula. And I mean, those songs were huge. So
Yeah,
even though we didn't like them, there was a big portion of the population out there for like the
that's
general
for the
public.
casuals. That's for the casuals.
Exactly, that
The
really
one, you know,
fucked with that stuff. And I'm not a huge fan. However, it's also not turning me off
like
of this album.
his next single will probably be the complete opposite of that song.
I don't know if
You
he's
know what I
doing
mean?
another. The album drops like less than a month.
They said the date already?
Yeah, he announced a date. It's like I want to say early July. It
All
may
right,
even
cool.
be end of June, I forget. But regardless, it's like if you judge SSLP, fucking Marshall Mathers, or even the Eminem show off those lead singles, like the rest of the albums sound nothing like those lead singles. They
Right.
never did. Those were what the studio wanted. The studio made them do. And after the success of My Name Is, they made them do another one on MMLP, and then they made them do another one on Eminem show. Like he talks in interviews about how much he didn't want to do these fucking songs, how he doesn't like doing these fucking songs, but the studio is adamant about like, look, we need to get something on the radio. We need to get something catchy. We're just going to rinse and repeat what you did on SSLP with My Name Is. And they do that. However, the albums, I mean, there's no
Like
denying.
it's like JC said, I dumb down for my audience and double my dollars.
This is a little bit more than dumbing down, though. Like, this is hokey, gimmicky, silly, just catchy radio shit. Not to mention,
Yeah,
it's just a fucking blatant ripoff of the old single,
right.
which,
And I think it's on purpose
whatever.
though. Yeah, it's
For
definitely
sure.
yeah, yeah.
But I'm not going to judge the album based off of
No.
that because you can't judge those other old albums based off of. So I'm not going to do it. So I'm still, we'll see if he gets back into like that hunger, which that's what I just don't think is possible. Like he's still angry, like, but he's not hungry anymore. That hunger that existed on those first three albums does not exist. Once you hit that level of success in anything, hunger goes away. Like you're not going to see somebody as passionate, as angry, as hungry to fucking prove themselves, to make and push boundaries. Like everybody gets complacent for the most part once they hit that level of success.
But yo, Lindsey, man, thank you for stopping by, bro. When we gonna work something, man? Revolt Records, bro. When you gonna we gonna make a mixtape, bro? I'll spit some shit. You put me out there.
We got some shit. We got some stuff. I
Yo,
got
you look
some of
like.
the what do I
By the way,
got?
you look like fucking Pirates of the Caribbean, bro. You look like Johnny Depp. I'm sure you've heard that shit, bro, with the fucking shit on the head and shit. Yo,
That's
tell everybody where they
hilarious.
can find you at, man. We definitely got to do something, man. Shout out to the Heights, man. That's my crew, yo. Shout
That's
out to the
right.
patrons.
I got like
Fucking,
I got like five height songs in my fucking vault right now.
you do, right?
I do. I got some of that old shit.
Ah, yeah.
Those,
What you know about this shit?
those
The
things
world
are
ain't ready
fucking
yet. The world ain't ready.
no.
We letting that shit marinate.
I like it. We need to get you on something for sure. We got a lot of stuff. Get you on
Yo,
something from like Jules, Jimmy. Yeah, you can find me Revolt Records on Twitter, Revolt Records on Instagram, REEVOLT Records, and we have a new album coming out with a new artist that we just signed, Kay. It's in the works. It's being finished right now. Album should
dope.
be out within the next 3 to 4 weeks. A lot of it's a little different than what we've done so far. It's just kind of like summertime, pop, high energy, just kind of fucking vibes. And it's
Give
really
me your YouTube,
enjoyable.
yo. What's your YouTube?
Revolt Records.
Mm,
You can see some of the official lyric videos that we got up there, some other videos. You can see some Green Canine stuff, which is Jimmy Green and Canine. Shout out
that's
those
dope.
two guys. They're fucking legends. We got Jules. We got Cystic down in Mississippi. We have my daughter, Zaya, the opera singer. We have one of her albums.
She's
And
dope, bro. She got a voice, bro.
yeah, we use, what's cool is Jules has chopped up some of those opera vocals and he's thrown them in some of his beats. And I
Oh,
love
really?
when they
What, like
do stuff like
choruses and
that.
shit, or just background
It's
shit?
choruses, background. I got a Skip the Kid beat. Shout out Skip the Kid,
Oh
who
shit.
chopped up he chopped up Summertime, and he made a sick fucking beat out of that. We still haven't used it. I'm waiting for the perfect person to put on it. But yeah, it's really cool when they chop up those vocals. But yeah, shout out fucking Cala Beats down
Mm.
in Maryland. We got that ethereal tape that we put out. We got Cystic, Jules, K, Jimmy Green, K9. We got Quote. Shout out Quote, my
We're gonna have to
partner.
charge Jimmy, bro. We done shouted him out like 5, 6 times already today.
Yeah. You can find us, man. Everything's on there. We usually got links posted, link tree, all that stuff.
Appreciate you, man. Shout out to my man Ant. Check us out on YouTube at the Culture 2020. Go to our website, theculture.one. Shout out to our Patreons. I apologize, I haven't been putting out as much content as I was in the past, but we're getting there. Thanks for tuning in, y'all.
Hasta.
Peace.